So here you can see it has its own website now, where it says like, the Dragon Isle Awaken. You can sign in for like a beta already now. You should probably do that, so you gotta make sure you get it. The cinematic is here, some stuff. The new dragon race, which we all love and think looks super good. That was a joke against Blackout. No, I admit it, they look a bit
Right, okay. So here's the thing about the Drakthir is why they talk about them being intertwined with all the other races, but yet they're obviously just humans when not in their dragon form. Like, why can't you have a Tauren with normal horns and dragon horns in their humanoid form? They're just humans, aren't they? They're just humans, then dragons.
it's just gonna be like Wargen, the wolf race. So every time you go into combat, you're gonna get into a dragon, and outside you can go back in your normal.
Yeah.
I like that dragon riding stuff that he was talking about. That sounded pretty
do you know what? As soon as they showed that, it just hit me of like kind of how, blah blah blah.
Was you getting Guild Wars 2 vibes?
Yeah. Yeah, and like they were saying, like the longer you progress in dragon riding, the more things you get, and that is very much how that works.
Yeah, I'm hoping it has the same feels that you get, because I really miss just being able to jump off something and glide. It's such a small thing, it's completely unnecessary, but it's nice, and I kind of hope this gives you the same feels as that.
Yeah. And I like that you can unlock, so everyone will get a Drake, and then the more you spend time, unlock the, I think they mentioned like there's glyphs that you can find to make your Drake more advanced and customization and stuff, like going to find that hermit in the cave who maybe will give you a different snout or a different type of tail or whatever. I don't know about anyone else, but what that struck to me straight away was that if everyone gets a Drake, how they can implement that in things like the raids and the, like dungeons and stuff, because everyone will have one, if that makes sense. So they could use that dragon riding thing to navigate like raids a bit better and have kind of, do you know what I mean? Rather than just flying. I feel like that could be cool.
Kind of like bigger scale raids over larger maps.
Yeah, things that feel really impactful rather than it just being,
It's like this thing that we're seeing on the screen right now. That imagine that with like 10 people or something, all flying through an instance.
Yeah, it'd be amazing. And also, if they talked about the two Horde and Alliance ships coming together, didn't they, at the start, and like having war mode. Now imagine you get to that final area that they were talking about, which the name is completely forgotten.
Same.
What is it called? Thal Drazus, that place. Like, imagine that being like war mode on. Everyone's got like their different drakes all customized, and they're like you coming down and like landing on the ground and kicking the crap out of each other. Oh, it'd be so good. So good.
Definitely. But also the new talent system.
Yes. Nostalgia. They talked about it there, and I know for you, Blackout, obviously, a newer player won't have seen. I mean, you've seen a talent tree. You're not stupid, but how WoW talent trees used to be, is more akin to what they showed, and kind of they almost did touch about it as well. Like there'll always be an optimum tree to pick for certain scenarios, but the fact that you're given a choice, because sometimes certain encounters will require you to have something just a bit different, and the ability that you can change that on the fly.
What do they have in place now, though? Like, I don't even know what this is replacing.
So
When you press N.
currently, yeah, you know, when you press N and you've got like the 5 or 6 rows, and you pick one of the 3.
Yes. Yeah.
That'll be replacing it basically. So you'll have a more in-depth tree that you can actually kind of form how you want to play.
So this isn't just like a visual layout, it's actually changing the way that whole system works.
Yeah, and it did used to be like this, however, they didn't have, whereas it's got Druid and then Restoration, so obviously they're two, your class and then your spec essentially. It used to just be one. So if you were a Holy Paladin, you only got one tree. So yeah, so that is really cool, and like it'd be interesting to see if it does allow you to have different tree builds.
But,
you know, like
I mean, it could look like, you know, it's actually spells you get, like real spells. So if you don't, for example, pick Innovate, well, then you just don't have Innovate.
Yeah. But I hope what they allow is that the alternative is also viable. So if you don't have Innovate and you get alternative X, Y, and Z, if it is a choice of 2 or 3, that those are still optimal choices.
Yeah.
Because the old system was that, I remember when we played Wrath of the Lich King, and when you raided, there was only one right tree for your spec. Like, there wasn't really much variation. So if they can manage to balance where, like you say, you might... I think they did show it, the bottom bit of the restoration tree, the tree of life, and then there was the other option. Like, I hope they make it so they're both viable in certain situations, so that people aren't going, oh, well, you haven't picked Innovate, so you know, you're a terrible player. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
My shaman can be tank off spec again. Oh, I remember when they inadvertently made shamans tanks. That was fun.
And then we have the new crafting system, which I could imagine they have got some inspiration from, you know, other games. Definitely with that bar thing.
Yeah.
At least it doesn't have a percent chance for failing.
Yeah, as long as it's not failing and it's just like, I don't know. Yeah.
I think that one is quality, so like you can have like 5 level in that one.
Yeah. And obviously they talked about your stats on your gear will affect that. So
yeah, and what they mean with stats is like crafting stats.
Yeah. So if you've got the helmet that has more, I'm trying to think of what a crafting stat would be even called.
Like, I guess it's probably going to be like plus blacksmith, plus leatherworking, plus.
Yeah. But that's really cool, and I think the work order thing's brilliant. Like, imagine if because there are people who don't do raids, don't do PvP, and they enjoy the economy system. Imagine going up to an auction house or the equivalent and seeing that a particular item is, you know, like for an alchemist, the potions may just be constantly required. At least when you're going out crafting or taking the orders and charging the golds, it seems.
Yeah.
They're actually going to sell. Like, you know, you're no longer you're going to just be randomly listing stuff and hoping that someone buys it. You're going to have supply and demand, which reinvigorates that kind of
whole
profession.
And I know Blackout, he probably would enjoy, you know, being the guy who crafts for people, and they come with the resources, and
Yeah. This was actually quite exciting to hear, because you don't get many crafting systems in the game that kind of really feel like worthwhile. You get a lot of people all at the same level, all doing the same thing, so you've got like mass competition for the same garbage. Whereas this kind of feels like if you're good at what you do, then you can actually turn a profit from doing it. Whether that'll actually happen in the reality of things, but this is the impression that it gives.
Yeah, and it does strike that. I think back to when I started playing WoW on my server. Like you learnt people's names because they had an inherent value. So like people who were like crafters, like you could DM those people because you knew they had really high blacksmithing or whatever it was. And like the server grew their own heroes essentially that were not just necessarily great PvPers or the guild that raids or whatever. There was actual people who had professions, and this is the opportunity again of you not only just being the good blacksmith, but you be one of the best weaponsmiths.
But I saw in the trailer that when you do this offer to create items, or you want to get items, you can actually select the option to only post it to the guild. So in that way, if we get a strong guild, and if we all three decide, okay, this game is going to be our next main game, we could get like a strong guild where crafters are in it. If we decide to continue with this game, because we don't know if this game is first coming out in 23 or 24, or
who knows.
But next thing, the new interface. I'm just saying, finally.
Finally is the word that comes to mind, definitely. Like, when you look at its rivals, I guess, you think of the Final Fantasy, like, you can literally put the UI wherever you want. And the bits that were quite nice was saying, like, as you change spec, it will remember what spec has different things and stuff. So, obviously, things like if you were raiding, you're not going to need the minimap. So, like, being able to not have the minimap whilst you're in the raid specs actually sounds like quite a cool idea.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
I think it's going to be like the raid profiles you can have right now with your help bars, that you can select that it can remember for each spec, but you can also just use the same for everything.
Yeah, if you wanted to, yeah.
Yeah. Blackout, you might know, but the interface we have right now is the same we have since 2004.
Right. Okay.
So it's like the first
Unless
time they do
got add-ons. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think with this I don't need my bartender add-on where I can like move my bars anymore. I can get rid of that.
No.
Is that the only reason that you're using that add-on? Is just for the positioning of it?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I kind of like that Blizzard are taking back some of that thing and not having to rely on someone else doing it. Like, a UI customization should be baked into a game. I was hoping when they started talking about this is the new revamp, I was really hoping that they kind of kick out a lot of the add-ons, because I feel like it's got to a point in WoW where, like deadly boss mods, weak auras, things like that literally tell you how to play the game. And I feel like whilst it's not for everyone, I like the idea that I don't have a big bit of text coming up on my screen going, move out of the acid, or move out of the fire, or he's going to cast this in 3 seconds, make sure you hide behind a rock. Like, I like the idea that if they were to get rid of stuff like that, it'd actually go back to you actually learning the mechanics. Whereas, like, I noticed in the dungeons now, it just literally tells me, and I just go, okay, I'll move over there then. Like, there's no real skill element to it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen.
It's
Well,
not going to happen, but it's
no.
wishful thinking, isn't it?
And for the end, it says here new raid, new dungeons, and of course the new level cap, as we heard. They have some pictures here, but more important is, like, I know a website here called Press Center. This is basically for press, content creators, stuff like that, where you can like get new stuff.